Hi everybody, it's Robert Earl at the Eco Ranch out here in far west Texas. Got a new project, one I was hoping I wouldn't have to do, but it's got to be done, so let me tell you about it. When we have been running our system with 4 forklift batteries. Now these 4, the bird's yelling in the background. These 4 forklift batteries were built to be 12 volts each. I got them rebuilt from a company called Extra Power. They're in Quebec in Canada. Absolutely wonderful people to deal with. Their rebuilt batteries are considerably less than brand new ones. Similar warranty. But I bought these 4 batteries 2 at a time. I got these 2 first and these 2 second. And I had them wired with plugs, forklift battery plugs, so that they could plug into each other and then go into my system. So ideally it was perfect, but you have to remember I live in Texas, and Texas is Texas, but it's also part deep south, and we don't have sometimes the brightest light bulbs in the string working around here. So Fred up at Extra Power Batteries sent me these batteries. Batteries got all the way here. They had to be transferred to a small company here locally that delivered them out to me in a small stake truck. You can't get a semi down these roads here where we live. So the dim light bulb that was driving the truck, he figured these are big ass heavy batteries. I don't need to strap them down. I'll just drive with them. Which he did. Batteries tipped over. Battery acid all over, tore up his box, tore up some of his tires, which he deserved, but I wouldn't wish on him. But the bottom line is he damaged the batteries. Well, long story short, their insurance company paid me, I think, 75% of what the batteries were worth, and which is more than the 25% I lost, is more than what I would have got if I'd have just taken them and scrapped them. But they were good, and they worked fine for a while. But somewhere in there, the plates are supposed to be like this, real close together, and a plate or 2 got cocked one way or the other. At any rate, I have several of the cells shorted out. So what I'm left with is I got the money and I spent it, but now I've got these 2 batteries with bad cells, and they have a total of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 bad cells between them. Now there's 24 cells. And I've got 9 bad ones. Do the math, that leaves me enough that I can build a 12-volt battery out of these 2. And that's what the project is today. Since these are 1,600 pounds each, we're not going to move them or take them apart. It was recommended, in fact, by Extra Power that I not cut the cases and remove the individual cells, because then I'm left with these little boxes. You'll get a close-up later. But these little boxes about that big and literally this tall. And very, very top-heavy, a big danger with sulfuric acid being spilled, tipping them, and whatever. So they suggested I leave them in the cases and make 2 batteries, or 1 battery out of 2. I do have wonderful, these cells have kept a charge. They've been disconnected for over a month, and they've kept a charge. So now the job was, how am I going to do it? Well, I'll get behind the camera and I'll show you. But if you know anything about wiring batteries in series, you've got positive and negative, and you can see my hands here with 4 positive and negative. Don't worry about my thumbs, they're just holding my hands. But you've got positive and negative here. So what you do is you wire positive to negative, and then you're left with a negative out here and a positive out here. You've got 24 volts, because you've jumped it here. Now in this case, I'm dealing with 1 volt cells. So I have to take 12 of these and get them together. Well, I'm able to reuse, I've got 5 over here, I've got 3 over here, and I've got 3 over here. And 5, 3, and 3 is 11, and then I've got a single one out here. So all I have to do is negative to positive, negative to positive, negative to positive, and I've got it. And that's what we're going to show you. So let me get behind the camera. You'll notice I have my safety glasses on. Guys, I don't care how macho you are, I don't care how careful you are, mistakes do happen. I've mentioned in a couple other videos, I've got this thing I've had my entire life where I'll be doing something and my heart will skip a beat. And when it skips that beat, I don't know what happens, but it's like my whole body just goes boink and blanks out on me. Well, if I'm working over here with a power tool and that happens, and I go doink into the sulfuric acid, into the battery acid, and spray it up in my face, I've lost my eyes. So I have I think 20 pair of these. This is a brand new pair that I put on. Guys, it's sulfuric acid. It will destroy your eyes. So don't ever, 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 ever work with batteries without safety glasses. I know it feels stupid. You feel like that OSHA horse that had the poop catcher and all the safety equipment and everything that they put out about 30 years ago. But really, I can go deaf, but I don't want to lose my eyes, and neither do you. So safety glasses, an absolute must. Let's get behind here and I'll show you what I'm doing. I'll take these off. So these are the two healthy batteries, and we're going to be cleaning them up today. These are the two healthy batteries, and they've got, you'll notice there's two things going on here. There are wires, and then there are bars, jump bars. Now the wires span the long distances, and the jump bars, you can see the jump bars jump between the batteries, positive to negative, positive to negative, positive to negative, and then when you reach the end, they jump. In this case, here they jump to the plug, which is down in all that dirt. And then out here somewhere, right there, that's the cable that goes to, that's the positive cable that goes to the battery, or to the main line, and then the negative cable is right here that goes to the main bus line inside the house. So that's how it's supposed to look. Now over here, the bad cells, I've taken the caps off so we know which cells are the bad cells, because you can't use them for anything, they're scrap. And then what I've done is I've cut through the cables that were here connecting. You can see the bright copper there. I've cut through the cables, and also I've cut through these lead jumper bars where I've needed to cut through. So I've isolated all of these cells. So in this case here, I've got a 5-cell battery essentially right here. In this one, I've got a 3-cell battery. Here's a 1-cell 1 volt, 3 volt. And here's 3 more volts. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump these, clean it up, and jump them. So I'm going to get to work on that. You can probably figure out how you'd clean something like this, so I'm not going to make you look at that. And I will be back when I... Well, here's my ugly unshaven face looking right at you, and I apologize for that. But it's been a hectic few days around here. But let me show you what I've done so far. I've cleaned up the terminals we're going to need to put jumper wires on, and I've got this set up as best I can for you. Starting here with this terminal right here, with this terminal on this cell, this is my negative post for the new combined battery. This will be the negative post. So we've got negative here going to negative. Now over here we have positive to negative, negative to positive, and so on till you get over here. Then we jump from here to here, from here to here, and then we jump from here to here, ending up here, which is positive, and you notice I set my big positive cable there. So what I will have done when I'm done there is I will have created a 12-volt battery. Now, I'm turn this around. I know that to a lot of you, that just sounded confusing as hell, and you just threw your arms up and said, I ain't doing that. Well, let me tell you, that's $5,000 worth of batteries there that are dead. If I can make one out of it, I've lost $2,500. So, and I haven't really lost $2,500, you know, because I did get the insurance money. But let's say I didn't. So that's $2,500 gone. Now I'll recoup some of that when we scrap the battery, the 2 batteries, when they're finally dead. But for now, you know, I'll be making 1 out of 2. So you have to learn it. And really, it's not all that confusing. And none of this stuff, if you've watched any of my videos, none of this stuff is that confusing. Look at it this way. Unless you're just a total, absolute idiot, and if you are, you can't even afford a computer to be watching this on YouTube. Most of the time, the doctor you deal with, the accountant you deal with, the lawyer you deal with, they've got no more brains than you do. What they do have is a little more education and a lot more experience. All you need to do then to learn something that you look at and go, oh my God, I can't do that. All you need to do is get the education. And I've used YouTube as a good source of that. There were several people that went in great detail on talking. That's why I didn't go in great detail. But they went in great detail about talking about how to do a series battery. That's what we're doing, is we're taking 12 one-cell batteries in series to make a 12-volt battery. Now, you can learn it. All you have to do is look, study it, look, listen to the video again or read the article again. You'll get it. You'll get, unless you're just a cretin, which you aren't. You'll get it. It'll come to you. So if this confuses you, watch it again. Watch it again. Look up a few more people online. It's not that. It's not rocket science yet. We're like a quarter of the way to rocket science when we get to this. So let's go on and I'll show you what the next steps are. But first, let's go back here. I do want to point out that what I've done is I've taken my steel brush, which I saved this that I was going to steel brush for you. So I saved this one to do on TV, on TV, yeah, on video. But really, I've just got a steel brush. This is a lead fitting, or a lead, yeah, it's a lead fitting. Let's call it a fitting. And you just scrump it up. That's a very important word. It's like bigly. Scrump it up. And there, my connection will be nice and bright. Now, the connections we're going to be doing are nice and bright. They're all set, ready to go. So all we have to do now is drill it out and set the wires, the replacement wires, and the replacement jumper wires. So we'll get to that in a moment. Okay, guys. So rather than reshoot this whole thing, I'm going to show you I did make a mistake. These are obviously 2-volt cells. My mistake. Some of you were probably yelling at the screen calling me a dumbass. They're 2-volt cells. So what we have is we have, when it's brand new, 2, 4, 6, or 2 times 6, which is 12 here and 12 here. Then this one and this one will wire together in parallel, which keeps it at 12 volt. Now, if it was going to be a 24 volt battery, then they'd wire all 12 in series, which is about what I was going to do, which would have left me with a 24 volt battery. But you can clearly see, even though after being unhooked for a month, 5 cells give me 10.1 volts. So all I have to do now is connect this one to these 5, and I have 12 volts. So I have one 12 volt battery here, and I'll have another 12 volt battery between these and these that I will wire them, the two of them together in parallel. So I just wanted to make that correction to those of you that are geeks, or the ones that are that have nothing better to do than spend your entire day looking at videos on YouTube, not doing these things, just criticizing people that do. So before you got around to criticizing me and then going on to the next guy to criticize, I thought I'd say I made a mistake, and that's the correction. So here we go. Boy, I don't know if you can see me or not. I'm looking in the viewfinder and I look awfully black, but you can hear what I'm saying, and you know, I don't care if I look black. At any rate, given the price of wire nowadays, and you know, if you've ever looked at, you know, copper wire is expensive. Sometimes you can pay, you know, God, I think up to $7 a foot for 4/0 wire. That's the stuff as big as my thumb. But whatever, it is expensive. So I went to my handy dandy used wire pile. Now, you use 3/0 wire, or 3/0. I've just never liked that word "ought." You use 3/0 wire on the interconnections, and you use 4/0, which I'll show you in a bit. you use the 4-0 to run to the main bus bar. So I've got myself some 3-0 wire here that I had some ends on. Now these ends, they're dirty. They've got to be scrumped up. But these ends they can be expensive. Let's get it in the center here. They can be expensive. They can be, you know, $1.50 each sometimes. So if I can reuse them, that's great. If this wire's too long, cut it in the middle, and instead of having to use 2 connectors to make 1 wire, I use 2 connectors to make 2. So I just thought I'd show you. I'm going to be using this recycled wire. Everything gets dirty here in a matter of, you know, like an hour and a half anyway with the dust we have. So I thought I'd show you that, and I'll get going on setting these up. Now then, my holes are drilled and this is all cleaned up. Now I'm ready to start attaching these wires using the ones that I've scavenged from other projects first, because they've already got the expensive ends on them. Now, this is where the project goes a little bit off kilter, because what I'm about to do, there's no real politically correct name for it anymore. We'll call it redneck rigging. But I'm about to redneck rig this, and I'll explain why. First of all, the reason I'm doing the battery right now is we've had bad weather. Today is very clear, but we still are expecting more rain. If I get a couple, 3 days of cloudy weather, the batteries drain down and they don't fully recharge, so I really start losing power. But at the same time as this weather hit, my big refrigerator, which was 27 cubic feet, died. And luckily we hadn't done our monthly shopping yet, or we would have been in trouble. But it died, it's dead, there's no repairing it, I tried. So I had to move everything into our little beer refrigerator, which is there to me. I'm trying to keep myself in frame here. And into the refrigerator in our travel trailer. We don't use that, we use it like a pantry, but it does work. So we had to turn it on, put everything in there, or put what we could in there, put the rest in the beer fridge, and we're still kind of cramped. New refrigerator's coming in a few days, but 4 or 5 days, but the weather was supposed to continue to be bad. So what happens is the RV refrigerator, and those of you with RVs probably already know this, they use a lot of power, they use a lot of propane. I didn't know that. They're constantly draining. That thing is killing these batteries overnight. And with no sun first thing in the morning, we were in trouble. We were having to run our generator. So that's why I needed to get this battery done now. And it was a good excuse to get it done. So because I need it tonight, I have to redneck rig this. So I'm going to, the screws I'm going to use to hold these cables in place right now are going to be replaced after the fact with brass screws. And I have to use what I have available now because it is Sunday. And first of all, nobody's open on Sunday in this area. And Home Depot is open in Midland, but that's a 500-mile round trip for me, and there's no sense going up there. Going up to Alpine, about the time the refrigerators get here, I'm going up to Alpine anyway, and I'll get brass screws to replace this with. But we're going to redneck rig it now. So to redneck rig, I've got these bolts here that I've had for quite a while. They're too long. I put a washer on it, put this old wheel nut on it, put another washer on it, and bolt it down that way. Now that's the only way I can do it right now. So we're redneck rigging it, and I'm going to do the wiring, and get back to you. Well, I came across something else I thought you might be interested in. I do have to put a lug on the end of this wire. This wire I had to cut to length. I have to put one of my fresh lugs on. Now, ordinarily, most of you guys would get a chisel and a hammer, or just a hammer and beat the hell out of it, or get your pliers or your channel locks on it, beat the hell out of it. I knew I would be doing a lot of these, so I bought this handy dandy, if not dusty, crimping tool. It comes with all different sizes of dies to crimp this with. So you just put your die in and secure it. Then you take and put the lug and the wire in like so. Hopefully you can see that. If not, just imagine it. And this is hydraulic, and it slowly pushes a piston out. I know my head's in the way. I have to have my head here to get it just right. It slowly pushes a piston out that will crimp this all the way around. And you just keep going until it's completely crimped. Now there is a Chinglish warning on here. I'm going to read it to you all. It says, "Before I used to read brochures, strictly prohibit use of overpressure." Now, there's my manual, and I have not used overpressure. Release it. See what we got? We got a nice tight fit there. So much easier than using the hammer and chisel, and I believe, guys, I paid about $25, maybe $35 for this. It has more than paid for itself. There it is. Well, here it is, and it is functioning. Yay! I always am worried. I'm one of those guys that I know I did it right, but I never know until I actually turn it on. But here it is. It's working. My negative cable runs into my bus bar. My positive cable runs into the bus bar. And these are the new jumps that give me 12 good cells. Before I tested it before I made the final hookup. These batteries, these two batteries, had been sitting for well over a month. They were at 12.1 volts, or the cells, I should say, when combined, were at 12.1 volts. They've been sitting for at least 2 months, so that means that these each cell is good, and I did in fact identify the bad cells. Now then, I have 3 good cells over here, but that's a 6-volt battery, and I don't know what to do with that. But those 3 are good. I'm going to have to either use them or lose them. But there we are, all hooked up. Everything's running. I need to get the brass to replace my Redneck engineering, and that's the end of this project, guys. The only thing left is the cleanup, and hey, Debbie, come on out here and clean this thing up for me. I'm gonna go have a beer. Oh, no, you know that won't work, not in my household. So anyway, I'll clean it up, but in the meantime, I'll let you guys go, and until next time, Redneck engineering and all, needing a shave and all, it's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch saying bye for now.